Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. As Padma highlighted for us, the subject of our reflection today is shout with praise. So I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, and praise and worship would last an hour before the preacher even reached the pulpit. It was wonderful. So the singing would swell to fill up the church. And it was like riding on a wave of love, right? So I promise that I'm not going to sing this morning. Maybe. I might sing. Let's see how this goes. But even if I choose not to, there is a song of praise in my heart, and there is a song of praise in your heart, and there is a song of praise in the heart of every single human on the planet. Every human that has ever existed has carried this song of praise in their hearts, right? So we're all instruments of divine love. Krishna, he carries a flute. I am Krishna's flute. You are Krishna's flute. Every human is Krishna's flute. And there is a specific, unique, and focused way that love wants to play, wants to express itself through you. That is praise. So praise exists within you. Sometimes it comes out of us in the form of song. Sometimes it comes out of us in the form of dance. Sometimes it comes out of us in the form of speech. When we're living out that praise, that's your purpose, right? So praise is your purpose, right? When you're allowing the wind, the breath of love to just flow through you, right? And sometimes that praise looks like kneeling in prayer. Sometimes that praise looks like hands held together at the heart. Sometimes praise looks like, stomping and shouting and expressing the joy loudly. But sometimes praise looks like driving in the car on the way to your friend's house. Sometimes praise looks like typing up a paper. Sometimes praise looks like taking a jog. Love wants to express itself through you in the way that love wants to express itself through you. It's unique for each of us, and it's always beautiful. Always beautiful. When we talk about the word purpose as humans, sometimes we get ourselves all tangled up in a knot. Like, man, this is so uncomfortable. What's my purpose? What's the purpose of humans on this planet? And we come up with all sorts of suggestions and reasons to fill in purpose. But purpose is simple. It's simple. To intensify the simplicity of it. I have here a reading. It's from Matthew. And one of the disciples of Jesus asked him, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law?" And this is how Jesus responded. Jesus said, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." Purpose is simple. Our purpose is to love, right? Love, expressing itself through us, shows up as love in a million different ways. So my purpose is to love. My purpose is kindness. My purpose is compassion. My purpose is understanding. My purpose is grace. My purpose is learning, right? That never changes. The expression of that can be unique and varied, as multiple as the people on the planet. But the purpose is always simple. And again, if we are allowing ourselves to be instruments of the divine, just to be played. Again, an instrument, it just is. An instrument just is. We, in the same way we just are, right? So we're living out our purpose. I have a few stories, really funny stories, some of them. One of the stories is like my all-time favorite stories. I just came across it 2 weeks ago. And I saw a video of a cat. And the cat in the video was like, meow, 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 meow. Somebody saw the video of this cat, and then they added some music behind the cat. And then somebody saw the video of the person who had added music behind the cat. This person was in France, and they added strings to it. And then somebody in Ukraine saw the video and added some, like the sound of a flute. And then somebody in Russia added some drums to it. And then somebody in Brazil started harmonizing with the cat. And it was like amazing. The song was brilliant. The video had over 5 million views. If you can find it, I suggest it. I've told everybody in my life about this video since I saw it. I've even shared it with people. It's fantastic. And the video is making visible a few things about living out your purpose, living out your praise as purpose. And again, that's only allowing love to work through you in the way that it wants to work through you. The first is this. When we step forward in our purpose, everything harmonizes, right? That love is able to harmonize, transform, and uplift everything into a beautiful symphony such that it all melts into oneness. Things that seem different, like human and cat, all blend together seamlessly, beautifully, right? Human from Russia, human from Ukraine, singing the same exact song. Different instruments, same tune, right? Beautiful. Another thing the video makes visible is that living out our purpose, allowing love to work through us, is just about beingness. The cat was just being a cat. The cat was just like meow, 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 which is what cats do, right? All we're ever invited to do is be what we are, just to show up. There's little effort that's actually involved in this because God is the greatest flautist ever, right? God is the performer of all tasks. All we have to do is sort of get out of the way. And so from the cat just being, it inspired really the world. The first comment on that video was, "This cat will never know how happy he's made people." The cat won't ever know it. And this is another point. This goes beyond words. It's not really about what we say. It's not even really about what we do. I don't speak cat, but I knew what the cat was saying. And so did all of the people who stepped forward. So this goes beyond human words. This goes beyond action. And so the invitation is to remember, God is the only doer. Again, living out praise, being praise, allowing that song of praise to flow through us is only about knowing I'm just an instrument. I'm just an instrument. There was another video that I came across the same week. And this video was about an Italian performer from the 70s. And he had a theory that what moved people about songs was not about the lyrics. It wasn't about the words. It was just about like the melody, the sound on which the lyrics rested. So he created a song, but the lyrics were nonsense. They were like, and the song skyrocketed to #1 on the charts in Italy in the 70s, right? And again, it's just reminding us, it's really not about the words. It's about connecting to the song of praise on which it rests, on which everything rests. That's what it's all about. If you're doing that, you're #1. It's skyrocketing up the charts. It's just that simple. Now, the thing about a flute, is that it's hollow. It's empty. And so that's how we have to show up in order for love to express itself through us. And emptiness really just means that I'm not clinging to attachment. right? I'm not in the practice of superimposition. So superimposition, to liken it to the story that I just shared about the Italian performer, is just adding content on top of what already exists. So anytime we identify with anything, we're just adding it on top of pure consciousness and saying, this is who I am. It's like, no, but good try. Right? So that's what it means to be in the practice of emptiness. We get to be in the practice of emptiness in order for love to flow through that flute, right? Now, sometimes it's like we stuff newspaper in the flute, right? We stuff newspaper in the flute in two ways. The first is when we just forget that we're instruments of the divine. So when we do that, it's like, man, I'm stuffing newspaper and it feels like I'm all out of tune. We're still instruments, but if you've ever heard instruments that's like not in tune, it's like, we're getting there. Just keep practicing. So it's the same for us. We're getting there. Just keep practicing. Another thing that sort of stuffs newspaper in the flute is human plans, right? Human plans. Divine purpose supersedes human plans every single time. So I have here a scripture from Proverbs. Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. What a man desires is unfailing love. Better to be poor than to be a liar. I love that. Better to be poor than to be a liar. So that line also reminded me of Matthew, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And what this scripture is highlighting connects to what we just talked about with emptiness. So to be poor in spirit is to mean that I'm not collecting stuff and calling it my wealth. You are the wealth. You are the treasure. You are it all, right? So it's better to be poor in spirit. It's better to be poor than to be a liar. So the liar part is to identify yourself with that which you are not in truth. It's just misidentification, misunderstanding, right? And so if we have human plans and we're not checking in with the heart first, then we're leaning into the consciousness of my will. The invitation is always, love, how would you like to express yourself through me? Thy will. In totality, I surrender. However you want to show up, as a smile, as a dance, as an email, wherever you want me to be, I am in service to thee, right? Man, that music sounds great. That is the music that called the gopis in the forest, right? That is the music that called the gopis in the forest. And then I think we have time for one more story. And it's probably a familiar story. It's the story of, it's from Joshua. It's the story of the wall of Jericho. The wall of Jericho. So the story goes that the Israelites, they still have not yet, they don't have their promised land yet. They're on their way. And this city of Jericho is in the way of getting to that promised land. And there are, just imagine super thick stone walls circling this city of Jericho. And the people of Jericho, along with the warriors, are behind those walls. Now, Joshua, he gets a revelation from God. And God tells Joshua, these walls will crumble. What I need you to do, this is the plan, Joshua. Circle the wall 7 times. On the 7th time of circling the wall, I want you to offer a mighty shout of praise. Use your ram horns. While you're circling the wall, carry the Ark of the Covenant. Carry the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant should be in the front. The people will follow behind the Ark of the Covenant. So Joshua shares this message with the people of Israel, and the people of Israel take heed. They circle around the walls of Jericho 7 times, and they do exactly as they were asked to do. On the seventh time, when they blow the horns, the walls come crumbling down. The walls come crumbling down. I really love this story because it's highlighting a few really amazing things about purpose and about praise. I actually want to read this one line from Joshua. And when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, when you hear the sound of the trumpet, then all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city will fall down flat. Okay, praise, living out our purpose, crumbles the walls of delusion. Okay, living out our purpose crumbles the walls of delusion. And I mean this in a moment-to-moment, day-to-day thing. In this moment, I'm choosing love. In this moment, I'm choosing compassion. In this moment, I'm choosing understanding. And bit by bit, my own misunderstanding crumbles, right? That's the first point that I love about this story. The second thing is that the walls crumble, actually, it's not even about the walls crumbling, it's the fact that the walls are up. The walls are up in the midst of daily life, meaning if you want the walls to crumble, you have to praise in the midst of your daily life. This is happening when things are going our way and when things are also not going our way. Am I able to still say, thy will be done, when it feels challenging, when it feels tough, when it feels like, gosh, if I'm able to take another step, it's going to take everything in me to do it. This story is telling us, still praise, offer yourself, right? I read a story about a woman who, she contracted bacterial meningitis. She was a very young woman when she contracted bacterial meningitis, and she lost her spleen, she lost both legs, she lost her hearing in her right ear, and she later, when they asked her about her experience, she said that I wouldn't change a thing because it was the detour that led to my destiny. So she ended up getting prosthetic legs and became a 3-time Paralympic athlete. She also wrote a New York Times best-selling book about how your challenges can compel you or power you forward to your destiny. So I say that to say that in the midst of human pain, in the midst of human trial, when we feel that we're losing things, when things are being taken away from us, it is in those moments that love is also with us. The breath of the divine is still blowing through the instrument. We're never without divine love. And again, it's the detour that gets us to the destination, right? Another point, connecting it back to the story of Jericho, once we are in the practice of thy will, love will speak to us. Love will speak to us. Love will guide us. Follow the guidance. The people of Israel followed the guidance, and the walls came tumbling down, right? Another point from the story, the Ark of the Covenant represents the presence of God. In our daily life, carry the presence, the Ark of the Covenant with you wherever you go. Whatever the circumstances, whatever the conditions, however it looks like, carry the Ark of the Covenant with you wherever you go. And so each of us, our purpose, it will be fulfilled. Love shall be fulfilled in each of us. However love wants to use you, you will be used. You can go screaming or you can go dancing. It's so cool when you go dancing. So dance in your purpose. Your purpose is, again, only ever to love. And again, there's nothing you actually have to do because God is the doer of everything. And thank God for that. Amen.